Hey guys, it's me, Drew. I'm back again. So, first of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you for all those who subscribed or watched my video. It's just something fun, but I want to continue today talking about something that I mentioned yesterday, which is a legacy. And I want this legacy, the thought of a legacy within a collection and within the people around you, the connections that you make with friends, with parents or with children or with aunts, uncles, or whoever. And I want to talk a little bit about my legacy within collecting and within sports, and kind of where it came from a little bit, and sort of a little story that'll end up with a little collection too. So, going way back, my great grandfather had emigrated into the United States and settled in New York and started a family. And as a new American who was happy and proud of his new country, he wanted to become as American as possible. So he became a baseball fan. And of course, back then in the teens and the 20s of the 1900s, there was three teams in New York, and you got to choose which one you wanted. And he ended up on the Giants, became a Giants fan, and thus raised my grandfather to become a Giants fan. And my grandfather grew up in the 20s, the 30s with the people like Ross Youngs or Carl Hubble with his screwball or the great Melot. And again, as the war came and my grandparents got married and then started having children, my father being first in 1942, also raised to be a Giants fan. And my grandfather understood baseball. He loved baseball as an American thing, as a passionate thing, and even one time did the unthinkable and knew who Joe DiMaggio was in New York. And while he was a definitely Yankee hater, which is something that goes through our bloodline even today, decided to do something. And he took my dad as a young boy to Yankee Stadium just to witness Joe DiMaggio because he knew where Joe DiMaggio would sit within the pantheon of the history. So, growing up and moving on, my dad became a Giants fan. And in the 50s, like a lot of kids, he had a paper route. And he, bought and sold or sold papers or whatever. And he actually won a contest one time. He told me as a story that he won a contest and the grand prize was tickets to Ebbetsville to go see the Dodgers play. Well, for a young Giants fan in New York in the 50s to go, that was a terrible thing. And but he was maybe hoping his little buddies wouldn't see or find out that he did the unthinkable, and maybe he went with the thought he was going to boo those those bums or whatever. But anyway, the fact is he went. But in doing that, without even realizing, he got to witness some of the greatest players at that point. He saw Jackie Robinson play. He told me he remembers very distinctly seeing Gil Hodges and how tall he looked to him, and Pee Wee Reese. And we're going to get a lot into Pee Wee Reese in the future on other videos and where he is in my collection. But anyway, years later goes by, and my dad and I are talking. This is about 1998, 1999. We're talking about baseball. I said, Dad, you got to see some of the greatest players, and it was just so cool that you got to see them. You know, you saw DiMaggio as a little kid, even though he doesn't really remember him. You saw Reese, you saw Jackie, you saw Willie Mays, his favorite player as a young Giants fan, and on and on. The players he got to witness. Saw Helmer Killebrew one time, and I think Mickey Mantle even. And I just thought, oh, it's just not fair that you got to see these guys. And he's like, well, there's you got to see a few good players yourself. You growing up outside of New York City where I grew up, we went to a lot of Mets games, and I got to witness people like Pete Rose and Mike Schmidt. I liked Mike Schmidt as a kid, and I saw Nolan Ryan pitch when he was on the Astros against the Mets, and I got to see other players as I got a little older. I went to see George Brett, and I've seen Robin Yount, and on and on. I can name players that I got to see. And I thought, it's true. I have seen a lot of great players, not the same ones, but we're feeling both pretty confident about our story. The fact that we got to see these great players, and then in the room with us was my grandmother, his mother, who was in her 80s at the time and very hard of hearing and sitting there knitting away or something. And but apparently she overheard, and I'll do my best and not mess this up. But in her little old lady Providence, Rhode Island accent, she looks up and says, "When I was a teenager, a man in my church took me to see the Yankees play, and I got to see Babe Ruth hit a home run. And my dad and I thought, oh no, you win, you know. But that's the thing, is this is a legacy. It was something that was shared, even with my grandmother, who was not really a baseball fan, but still understood, as you know, with her husband, my grandfather, and her children, and moving on. And it's something I want to encourage you guys. So to find that connection with people. So back in time a little bit, I'm going to tell a story, and this is how it gets into collecting with me and my family. In 1978, my older brother Jeff, was in an accident and unfortunately lost the sight in one eye, and is blind in one eye even today. But as he was going through this, he was in the hospital, and a associate pastor in our church uh, went to visit him and brought him something that all little boys would like. He bought him a box of baseball cards, 1978 baseball cards, and you know, I know for a lot of collectors, 78's not a favorite set. That weird script on the bottom and tops was kind of in the weird thing, but my brother never had seen a baseball card, and opened these packs up and chewed the probably terrible gum, and he loved these cards. And when he came home from the hospital, couldn't wait to show them to me, his younger brother. And we looked through them, and to see the colors and to see the players, the pictures of these guys, and we knew what baseball was, and we knew a little bit about it. We were pretty young still, but baseball cards, it was such a cool and fascinating glimpse into this other world. And we didn't have much money growing up. We were pretty tight financially, and we didn't have cards. And even after that, we couldn't afford cards, not to get a pack here and there. So these were the only cards we had for, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 years, and then finally we were able to start picking up things from corner stores. But these 1978s, remember there was a game on the back, and we learned how to play baseball with this game and learned statistics. I remember seeing the name Nolan on Nolan Ryan and thought, what kind of a name is Nolan, you know? And just as a little kid, and so as I look back at this set, it has a very close point in my heart. And I was telling this story a number of years ago, probably, I don't know, 8 years ago or so, to my wife, and she said, you need to build this set. You need to get this set back. We don't have any of these cards left from when we were kids. They've all been thrown away and discarded. I wish I had one, but anyway, when your significant other, your wife or girlfriend or husband or whoever encourages you in your collecting, says you need to get, those are magic words, am I right? So I'm a member on Net54. It's an online website, a chat room and thing, mostly pre-war, but a lot of post-war, and just a great community. I've always enjoyed it. So I put on there, hey, I think I'm going to build a 1978 set, and I told my little story, and you know, let me know what you have. And I was happy to you know, buy lots or try to get commons, or you know how it works. And so anyway, someone messaged me and said, hey, I loved your story. I thought it was great. I've got a little stack of 1978s. Let me just send them to you. And I said, well, how much do you want? Don't worry about it. And I appreciated that, you know, that community. And then somebody else did that, and then somebody else did it, and then someone took it public on the actual thread, and said, hey, let's try to get Drew this set for free. Let's relive this thing. And I was blown away by this, and sure enough, people started sending packages, and what do you need? And I posted a want list, and there was even guys who, I don't have any 1978s, but I've got some 1972s, and how about I send you those, and if you can use them in trade or use them to sell, to buy the thing, let's get through this set. And it took a couple of months, but sure enough, I was able to put this entire set together through the generosity of these people I'd never even met before. And that's what this community is about. Whether it's collecting cards or memorabilia, or whether it's collecting autographs or anything else, or even if it's not baseball related, it's a legacy. It's something that you can put together, something that a group of people come together and you share it. And I guarantee you, if anybody out there ever gets a collection and collects it and never tells or talks about it, they're just not enjoying it to its fullest. And to be able to see people look through your collection, or if you've gotten a chance to look at somebody else's and you're just happy that they have this and there's this connection with it. And so I want to leave that with you today. If you've got some cards, if you've got a piece of something, if there's someone you know that is into something and it's not, you know, a high priority, you just give it to them, send it off to them, gift it to them, whether it's a kid you know, or someone in a church, or someone in a school, if you're a teacher. Just share this thing, and you'll be surprised that the memories that you'll make and the stories that you'll end up having is not about that one card that I have and everybody look at me, but rather I met this guy or this group of friends. And anyway, I just want to encourage you with that. So guys, thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you for your comments from my last video. Please feel free to leave them. I love the engagement. That's a lot of who I am. So leave a comment. Let's talk. Let's get to know each other. Until next time, you guys be good. Thanks.